From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell. The Liberal National Convention in Montreal came to a close today with Prime Minister Mark Carney making his keynote address to the official voting base and political leadership. Carney calling on Canadians to band together in the face of rapid geopolitical and technological change, insisting that now is no time for politics as usual.
Some are still in denial. Rather than starting on this journey, they're waiting for the past to return. But hope is not a plan and nostalgia is not a strategy.
The convention closes just ahead of a set of by-elections on Monday, with at least one of three ridings expected to go the way of the Liberals and give the party a majority government. In New Brunswick, hundreds of candidates are formally kicking off campaigns for local government, education councils, and rural advisory committees today. Elections New Brunswick says just over 1,100 people submitted nomination papers for 599 council positions within 77 local governments. Over to the Middle East, U.S. and Iranian officials met face-to-face today in Pakistan for ceasefire talks.
The United States and Iran meeting face-to-face for negotiations Saturday in Pakistan, days after a fragile 2-week ceasefire was announced. The war that has killed thousands of people and shaken global markets entering its 7th week. The White House confirming the direct nature of the talks being led by Vice President J.D. Vance. The talks coming after the U.S. and Iranian officials met separately with Pakistan's Prime Minister. Both sides discussing how to advance the ceasefire already threatened by deep disagreements and Israel's continued attacks against the Iranian-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command says the U.S. military preparing for mine-clearing operations in the Strait of Hormuz as 2 Navy destroyers transit the waterway through which 20% of the world's oil normally flows. I'm Julie Walker.
Closer to home, despite tumultuous weather this year, there are some maple syrup producers in the Ottawa region that are saying their season turned out better than expected.
Maple syrup producers in the Ottawa area, both in Quebec and Ontario, say the season has turned out better than expected, despite a rocky start and difficult weather conditions throughout the year. StatsCan reports Canadian maple syrup producers produced 18.9 million gallons in 2025, down 5.1% from the record high in 24. Joel Vaudeville, with the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers, adds that last year, exports of maple syrup to the U.S. increased by 16%. Karen Rebo, The Canadian Press.
And in BC, all 8 people taken to hospital yesterday after 2 chemicals combined to create chlorine gas in a Victoria recreation facility have been released. Intergovernmental and Media Relations Manager Colleen Mycroft says WorkSafe BC staff are continuing their search for the cause of the incident at the Crystal Pool and Fitness Centre. Close to 90 patrons and 13 staff were at the facility when the chemical exposure happened. It prompted an evacuation and a shelter-in-place order for the surrounding area. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, 15 games in the NHL today with all 7 Canadian teams on the ice. Ridley Gregg scored a shorthanded goal and Linus Ullmark stopped all 23 shots he faced in the Ottawa Senators' 3-0 win over the New York Islanders. Ottawa can make the playoffs if Detroit loses at home in regulation to New Jersey. Elsewhere, the Edmonton Oilers can clinch a playoff spot with a point against the Los Angeles Kings. They can also get in with some help if they lose in regulation today. Other games include the Jets hosting the Flyers. Also, the playoff-bound Montreal Canadiens play the Columbus Blue Jackets. Toronto welcomes Florida. Calgary's in Seattle, and Vancouver visits San Jose. In Major League Soccer, Toronto FC head coach Robin Fraser says today's 1-1 tie with FC Cincinnati feels like 2 points lost after his side gave up another goal to a shorthanded team. Down to 10 men in the final 20 minutes of the match, a scrappy Cincinnati side scored a spectacular goal in added time to record the 1-1 draw. From the Canadian Press, I'm Don Mitchell.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.